What's up, brothers,
Hello.
Hello, everyone. What's going on?
sisters?
How's
What's up,
everybody
people?
doing today? This fine January 30th, 2022. We are 1 month into this year, into 2022. It's
Whoop, whoop.
crazy how fast time is flowing, right, guys?
And it's cold.
And
And
it's
it's
snowy.
cold. I hope everybody's safe this weekend after
Yes.
the storm that we're going through out here.
100%.
I know I had to drive through it a little bit. I hope not many
Yeah.
people did.
No.
But
you guys went out to Port Jefferson and then got hit with a blizzard, right?
so I went out to Port Jefferson like Friday night when it wasn't really that bad. But obviously overnight and then in the morning it was absolutely hideous. And I mean, we left Port Jeff. We went to Port Jeff from Hempstead essentially, and then went back like in the afternoon. Um, it was like the apocalypse, like highways were like lightly plowed. There was a lot to go through, and it was like driving through an apocalypse. Like one or two cars. Like every time I drove by a car, I was like, oh my god, there are others. Like
there are others
it
like
was
me.
trippy driving down, like the Sacticos
Jeez.
Parkway, and like you can't see like 30 feet in front of you, and there's like nobody around you. Like it was weird, like.
Yeah.
It was weird to see like Long Island Highway like that.
Right. Yeah, well, in any case, this is the Blue Island live stream. We are here, episode 6. Still going strong. In fact, last weekend we had our probably most viewed show. So thank you for everyone that tuned in. If not
Everyone
at
who
the
shared,
live,
everyone who liked, everyone
Yep.
who commented. Just want to thank you so much for the support.
Appreciate y'all.
Yeah.
really good. And again, our interview last week with Devon Tony is up on our YouTube channel. I believe we did share it on our Facebook page. You just scroll down a little bit on the Blue Island Facebook page. You'll
The
find
full
the
interview
full
just to read.
hour-long interview. Yep. And his rally that was supposed to be on Saturday, obviously that did not happen because we got hit by the nor'easter. It's been moved to February 5th. That there is the flyer made by us at Blue Island on behalf of Devon Tony and Ain't. It's a great cause. It's an incredible story. If you did not hear his story or a little bit of it, if you didn't get that glimpse during his live show on 90.1 FM on Wednesday, he will go into it. We talk a little bit about it in the interview. So definitely keep an eye out for that. Definitely look at that and keep an eye out for that rally. Go support our man Devon. He's great. He's awesome. And
he cares about people.
He cares about people for
That's
sure.
really all people really need to know about Devon is that he's somebody who has been through the gamut of life, and he's come out like a hero.
Stronger for it.
And he's come out stronger for it, and he's trying to help pull people out of that too. So
yeah, 100%. He's really inspiring story. If you want to help the community, you want to help people in positions that Devon was in, he's a good way to get into that. He knows the community in and out, and he knows what the community needs. He is from that community, helping that community. And those are the type of voices that we want to foster here. So definitely check him out.
Absolutely.
Definitely go support.
Speaking of voices we want to foster, I think we have a discussion we want to have, guys.
Right. So while our show last weekend was super successful, and we're all overjoyed at the response that we got from it, and the amount of views that we got from that. We did get a couple people that did comment, that did give us a little bit of criticism, or they didn't necessarily understand our mission statement or what exactly Blue Island was about. So we want to clear that air there. We bear no ill will towards those people. They're great.
And some of the criticisms were valid. They had some good points that we should address in the future going forward, and those are fine as well.
Absolutely. And we're gonna address that here and now in this episode and in the future as we work on this thing. Remember, Blue Island is very young, both in terms of its members. We're all in our 20s, in our mid-20s. And the organization itself has been around for only 3 months at best, right? At most.
Yep.
So we're very young. We're still getting everything sorted out. Our kickoff rally did not happen as originally planned. It will happen later. We will get that news out to you when it does. So So be on the lookout for that. But let's talk about, guys. Let's talk about the
Yeah.
criticism that we received and what we're gonna and how we intend to, and who we are and what we intend to do at the moment. Let's get into that.
Yeah.
So I think the main thing that we were talking about when we heard, some of the concerns people were having, or ideas people were having, is like, what are we about as an organization? What are we doing? Why are we doing live streams? What is this all about? And I think people have a valid, concern. I don't want to call it a concern, but a valid point with that, because, as we've been doing episodes, it's largely been focused on, like events going on the island, on people, people and what they're doing around. And I guess when we started this organization, our goal was to essentially create cross collaboration between people on Long Island, people who share similar values. And that's a pretty nebulous thing to say, a pretty vague thing to say, but I think the reason we keep it that way is because we want to do more than just, have conversations and just like wax poetic about stuff. We actually want to make action happen. We actually want to pull people together and have people work together for a common cause. And so part of that is doing these shows. Part of that is putting the people out there who are really looking to make a difference out here in Long Island. We're trying to raise their voices. First of all, we're trying to lift their voices. We're trying to make sure that those people are heard, that they can be connected to other people who share those values, who are interested in participating in that sort of, community relationship building, right? Community grassroots relationship building. So that's one thing. We want people to be aware of what's going on, because I think a lot of us can identify with the fact that, like, Long Island is very fragmented, right? I mean, we've said that already, multiple times, I think, since we started doing this, how Long Island feels very disconnected. That, while I think we all have friends, in different places all around, but at the end of the day, when it comes to actually being involved directly in our communities in a very, like, day-to-day,
Tangible
way, it seems to be lacking, right? And so I guess that's part one, but part two is also, the reason we do these live streams. If we wanted to just do interviews and we wanted to just put content out there for people to just, like, internalize, and we would just do a video, we would just do an edited YouTube video and we will put it out, we would just do clips. But the
100%.
reason we do the live streams in particular is because we want people to engage with us. And that's one of the things we think is going to be so critical to this movement, to this organization, is having people actually work with us, volunteer with us, work with us. It's not like we're, paying ourselves to do this. We're not even an officially established organization.
Yeah, I completely.
Yeah, go ahead, Raj.
Yeah, I completely agree. I mean, our aim at Blue Island, what we, all of us, Laren included, want to do with Blue Island is we want to build community. We want to build solidarity between people on Long Island, Long Islanders, voters, activists, especially. We, from a political standpoint, I know some people have come up to us and they're like, "Oh, you guys are named Blue Island. Okay, so you want Democrats to win across the board." Well, I mean, politically speaking, we do have values.
The most in common with Democrats.
Yeah,
let's not pretend. We currently, as the landscape exists, as the party that has the most power, Democrats tend to agree with what we want. But then we look at certain things like Nancy Pelosi and the stocks thing. They don't agree with our values necessarily.
Well, hang on. I'd say a lot of these politicians on the left, Democrats, a lot of them will say, like, we support, like, gun control legislation, or we support healthcare legislation, or whatnot. But I think people like Nancy Pelosi definitely kind of shift how they view or what they want to push over time. They're very much a politician in that sense. And obviously there's the corruption, there's the money that's backing them as well. That's definitely not just on the big names like Nancy Pelosi. They're definitely Democrats that are on the federal circle and the more local levels that take money, that are absolutely corrupt, as well as Republicans. We can't forget our Republican friends. But I think it's not enough to simply say we want to elect leaders of any like specific political allegiance. Elected leaders have a responsibility towards their people. I think we can all agree that that's something that elected leaders have, a responsibility towards their people. And as we feature activists on our platforms, we intend to as well feature candidates, elected officials. They're all welcome, so long as they share those common values. I mean, Devon, Tony, and the Ain't Project are the guys we had on last week. They share our common values. They deserve our support. They deserve your support as well, and they deserve your help.
But going on, if anyone who's watching, out of the 3 people who are watching, we love all of you. If you have any things you want to share with us, any organizations you think are good to be platformed, be shared around. When we did the interview with Devon, we had how much? 800 views on our video, almost 1,000 views altogether.
It went about to like 900
Yeah.
plus.
This is we want you guys to communicate with us. We want you to send us stuff. We want you to post in the group chat. We look at everything and we care about it.
I want to go even further and say, again, part of what we want to do is also collaborate resources, bring resources together for people who are interested in becoming politically engaged, who are interested in becoming engaged with groups who, do stuff for the community out here. And that requires us to have, documentation. That requires us to have resources to actually give out to people. And if you have information, just you sending that to us is of extreme value, because that can help us compile the things that we need to compile in order to actually, keep others engaged and send that information out. So if there's anything that you can give in terms of information is going to be one of the most, let's redirect for a hot second. Strategy, right? What is the strategy for, I hate to use this word, but making Long Island more progressive, making Long Island have more affordable housing, try our best to eliminate racism, to eliminate bigoted behavior from the island, making sure that people have affordable health care. I think these are all things that we can all agree upon, things that we could all want, right? Whether or not you're a Democrat and Republican. So what are the steps to get to that goal? That's what we need to figure out, right? I think we have a good sense of what we need to do already. First, we need people to get involved with this movement. That means being a part of the chats, being a part of the discussions, being involved in social media, whatever it is, showing up.
That comes with outreach. That comes with outreach, with sharing, with liking, with talking.
And that comes with us reaching out to you. First thing, we'll do our best with regard to that. And we hope that more and more of you start to engage with us as time goes on. Second,
I like to say, there's a little line I like to say is like, when activists help activists, the people will prosper, because activists help others, Yeah. So when they're helping each other, when they're propping each other up and giving each other the assistance that they need to better help people will prosper, And that's what we want to do. And if we want to push those progressive values, people need to see our activists, or need to see progressive activists that share our values. They need to see them helping them. They want to appreciate them. Devon Tony told us about his about how the DSA helped him out quite a bit, and he has full appreciation for the DSA, and he also, on his interview on Wednesday, he had a libertarian on, and the libertarian wanted to do everything they could. And you know what? He got the DSA member and the Libertarian Party candidate, or not candidate, party member, to switch phone numbers to help each other out with activism, with helping the homeless, doing sorts of those like that. I mean, we need to be selfless in our desire to want to help people, and when activists help activists, especially when those who share our values help each other, we help people prosper, and we help spread the importance, or the view of those values, because they see us wanting these things, and they see us helping them. They know our interest is to help them, right?
And to add on top of that, we also, a big part of what I think is also important is to be able to speak correctly on these issues, to have the rhetoric and the tools, and when you're confronted with a counter argument, to defend your position. A lot of times, people will use definitions to skirt around issues. They will do different types of logical fallacies, different rhetorical tricks to diffuse arguments. And as people, leftist progressives, I think our arguments are easily defendable and they're easily proven. And knowing how to do that and having those skills is also a big part of activism and outreach. Um,
Yeah, I mean, for sure. I think also, just to kind of piggyback off of that, one key factor to mobilizing supporters, to mobilizing people on the whole, is to shine a light on those who are a hindrance to progress. Some people have short memories. Others kind of choose to ignore warning signs that you see. We kind of want to keep you informed on on what those who aim to hinder that progression of our values, of our common values, are doing successfully and what they're doing unsuccessfully. In doing so, we'll be better informed on what we can emulate for our own benefit, and what we can amplify, or what we can understand to reveal the misguided or dubious nature of whoever it is that is an obstacle to progress, right? So if
and then
Long
many
Island
times we have
non-majority,
we
for
have we
example,
yeah for example, there's many things that we can learn from the people who disagree with us and who fight against our causes. They might be very successful at mobilizing and organizing, and looking at how they do it, how they're doing it, looking at the models and the successes that they've had. It would be stupid to not emulate it, to not take and learn lessons from that. I think, right, this is just a basic fact of people
Mhm.
who we fight with. We need to learn from them. We have to, as much as we don't like them, as much as we don't want to plat for them, we need to learn what they do, why it's successful, and how to come back and do the same, and if not better.
for sure, and that includes talking about Long Island loud majority. Loud majority
About Republicans
has
in general.
Republicans in general. I mean, we understand, like, a lot of these kind of nonsense talking points that they discuss at loud majority are just kind of like, not kind of, they're literally just kind of marching orders from Tucker Carlson. Tucker Carlson will
Pretty
say
much
something, and then there not only will
People around
independent
the world will
media,
just parrot it.
all
yeah,
around the world, right?
Around the world.
politicians, Republican parties will just parrot the nonsense that Tucker Carlson says every day.
And I mean, people like Sean Hannity and Tucker Carlson would literally text those people, those leaders, and tell them
Mhm.
exactly what they should be saying and doing. So that's
I mean, listen,
actually
we
so
know
much.
that we know there's proof that Hannity was in
There's
connection
proof.
with Meadows, Donald Trump's speech of chief of staff during the January 6th riot. Like, we know that they're in communication. So, right?
And if
It's
you want more specific proof of Long Island non-majority just being people that just repeat the nonsense of Tucker Carlson, look to the video we posted about the seditionists that were charged, the 11 seditionists that were charged. We have at the beginning Tucker Carlson says a line, and then you see another person on Fox News say that line, which is Greg Gutfeld, and then you see Sean Farash, one of the founders of Loud Majority, say the exact same thing. These are just talking points, easily defeatable talking points too. So we got to understand what they're saying to a degree. We don't need to bathe in the nonsense every day or whatnot, but we need to be aware of what they're discussing, what nonsense they're going to bring up, so that
Well, they're
when
not.
you come into
One second, Raj.
conversation,
Their
yeah,
nonsense is effective, guys. It works. People who are on the margins, people who we want to sway onto our side, people who flip flop between Republicans and Democrats, conservative. We want to make sure that they sit on our side, and learning their talking points is important for us in order to be able to fight those talking points. How in the world can I fight my enemy's moves if I don't know what they're doing? Like, this is such a necessary point in making sure that we have a rebuttal to these arguments, because whether we like it or not, humans make decisions based on optics. And if it looks like you got demolished in an argument, if you don't have a response to something at the time, silence can sound like an admission of guilt. And we just have to make sure to know how to fight against that.
I
And
know. Or go ahead, Nick.
just real quick, and it's extra important, especially because Long Island is a place where there's such a close proximity of different beliefs, you know, and again, in such close proximity, that makes it so that it's almost unavoidable. You know, you're going to be around somebody who probably has a radically different set of beliefs than you do, and if all we do as a society is try to, like, you know, like stay separated, then how can we get anything done? You know, I mean,
So I quickly want to respond to Alibaba. Since we're talking about engagement, and she says, we need to have our own message and not just be playing only defense. I 100% agree. And a lot of that to me comes with framing. For example, things like, I think America's, like, just saying this line, I think for my experience works a lot with far right and people who are very patriotic. I love America so much. I think America is the greatest country in the world. And this is why I think we can do it better than Canada, than Germany, than France, than England. We can have a national health service. But we can say that. That's a message that we can say, but it's about how we say it and how we deliver it. Certain things like that.
I think the thing about, I don't think the issue with the so-called progressive left wing has necessarily been the message so much as how they've implemented how they've done the messaging, right? Because I think the messaging is very clear. We want affordable healthcare for all. We want people to have affordable housing. And now progressives may disagree on what, you know, how we get there. But I think, again, like those foundations, those benchmarks, those ground level ideas are very well established and very well, like, okay, seems like the best way forward. Now the question is, how do we get there? You know, how do we make that a reality?
And as Nick said earlier, it starts with
about being
mobilizing, organizing, outreach.
Proactive, because what Republicans do is react to everything. That's every Republican talking point, every Republican zeitgeist, every situation they've conjured up to make a hubbub about has always been a reaction to something, like a completely unwarranted reaction to something, right? You don't need to look farther back than what happened with critical race theory.
Yeah,
how
a complete misunderstanding of what's going on.
Republicans turned a graduate level college course into something that needs to be fought for to removed from elementary schools and high schools.
It's not even being taught in elementary schools.
It's not even being taught in elementary schools and high schools, and yet somehow Republicans managed to turn that into like a thing, into an issue.
They turned it. You know what they turned it into?
That was purely reactive. That wasn't like.
They turned it into an election victory in Virginia.
Yeah,
they turned it into election victory in Virginia for what's his name? Youngkin, right?
Youngkin. And if I'm not mistaken, Youngkin is now pushing legislation to be passed, or maybe he's passed it already. I haven't been paying attention to Virginia politics too much. In terms of banning banning certain history topics related to what they believe is CRT.
I mean, but it goes even further. Like, look at what's happening in Texas about like teaching both sides law. Now some schools are forcing teachers to teach the other side of the Holocaust, whatever that means. There are school boards in Tennessee who are getting rid of specific literature for the Holocaust, like the book Mouse, because it's too disturbing. This is the problem, right?
Ali, no, this is good. Ali, thank you so much for this comment. First of all, let's put up the first comment here. No, let's put up the first comment. Yeah, bail reform. That's a very good point. Hang on, leave that up there. I got this.
Go ahead, Nick.
Bail reform. That's a very good point. Bail reform has been turned into like some boogeyman in New York over the last 2 years.
Yep.
Okay. Let's make it. Let's pull it up. You know what? Let's pull it up. We're doing this live, boys. Let's pull it up.
Live, baby.
We're doing it live right now. Pull up bail reform right now. Pull it up. What is bail reform?
Put the link privately.
I don't want to just say it. I don't want to just say it just to have somebody like clip it and be like, oh, look at what they're saying and they're not right. No, we're putting it up on video right now.
Send me the link. I'll put it up. I got all the tech. Just send me the link. Put it on the private chat.
I'm gonna dig for it right now. Let's talk about this right now, because what Republicans have been saying bail reform.
Oh, for the hi Tony, Devon. Hello, Devon.
Hey, Devon.
Hey, Devon. What's up, buddy? Look, bail reform, this thing with the bail reform has just been blown completely out of proportion, because Republicans are going around and saying that, oh, you know, violent criminals are being let out on bail. No, that's not how bail reform works, people. That's not how bail reform works. And I'm going to pull it up right now, and we're going to do this real quick, because this is just unbelievable.
But while you're pulling that up, I want to add, For those who don't know and who don't really study political theory or any of the hub, this is a bit might be a bit more esoteric. When you look at far right, ultra nationalist movements, one of the key talking points to focus on authoritarianism is, and this is historical through Mussolini, Hitler, Japanese culture. All of that stuff is a specific talking point where the government is no longer favoring the victims, but the criminals. We got to be very careful with the messaging. He just has different words, but they're saying the same thing. For them, bail reform, the boogeyman is that the government cares more about the criminals than they do about the victims. This is a false narrative. This is simply fear mongering, and this is in line with much of the fascist ideology of the early 1920s.
And we're gonna get into this maybe a little later, and we did touch on this already, but it's the fear mongering is just so widespread on every single topic. I mean, this is to a degree what the culture war is about. It's fear mongering things that don't exist. It's creating boogeymen where there are none, in order to win a vote so that you can stay in power. I mean, we notice during elections, Republicans, especially on the national scale, are losing elections, are losing the popular vote in many cases, but they're still winning elections. You know, their arguments are in line with fascist tendencies in many cases, and the way that they win elections, to a degree, are in line with fascist tendencies as well. They're not winning the people over. They're passing legislation. They're blocking the majority from getting what they need to what they want to get done, and they're just passing what they feel like in order to stay in power. That's what they're doing.
I'm quickly going to put up on the screen. This is from the Wikipedia page for cultural Marxism, which is an anti-Semitic far-right conspiracy theory, which believes that like elites are controlling the government, blah blah blah. You know, anything we've all heard. But this is an important line from that. Important to understand how much the right is borrowing from these psychotic beliefs, and that's the only I can say. So let me quickly add that to the screen.
Oh,
So
I just
this
found a
is
great link.
send it to me. So this is the beginning of the theory. The idea is that there's like a group of conspirators. Through culture, they're destroying society. But the whole point is we look at their tenets and the things that they say and the things that they perpetuate. And this is one of them. The creation of racism offenses, continual change to create confusion, the teaching of sex and homosexuality to children. Today, you can just call that transgender or gender theory. But here's the one. An unreliable legal system with bias against victims of crime. This is what the bail reform, this is what they're trying to make you afraid of. This is nothing more than the talking points of an early Nazi conspiracy theory, which had its history in what is called cultural Bolshevism. So just having that information is a really powerful tool when talking about this stuff in general.
All right, I just shared the link with you, Donon, but
Okay.
we're gonna set the record straight with bail reform right now, real quick. It's actually
Right
not
now.
that complicated at all.
Let's do it.
Let's go, Nick.
Simple, real quick.
Take it away, buddy.
What is bail, first of all, right? What is bail? Bail is simply what is cash bail, right? Because that's what this bail reform is about, is eliminating cash bail. Cash bail, let's say you get arrested, right? Let's say you get arrested for a crime. Let's say you robbed somebody, right? You got arrested, you got caught, you did it, like, you know, let's not argue about whether or not he was guilty or not guilty. This hypothetical person who was arrested for robbery did in fact rob. Okay. How does cash bail work? In a case like that, in New York State, this doesn't happen in every state, but in New York State, cash bail is essentially saying, if you give us this much amount of money, you'll be able to stay at home before your trial instead of staying in a jail cell waiting for your trial. That's what bail is, right, guys? Because there's the trial, there's sorry, I'm getting my legal terms confused. There's when you get your court date sent, you either sit in a jail cell and wait for your court date to happen so you can actually be tried for the crimes you're being committed of. And then after that trial is when you're giving a sentence, and then, depending on your sentence, whether or not whether or not you're set free or you go to prison to serve time or whatever, right? But up until that moment where you actually go to trial, two things can happen. One, you wait in a jail cell for you to go to trial, or two, you go about your normal everyday business until you have to show up for your trial. And that's what bail reform was originally about. It was making it so that the only people that wouldn't have to wait in a jail cell were rich people, right? Because the thing about cash bail is that people who had money could afford to post bail and just, not be in a jail cell waiting until they actually have to go to trial, right? That's what a cash bail is: paying money or putting up a, like collateral, putting out collateral, cash collateral. So, so essentially saying, okay, if you don't show up for the court case, then you're going to lose your money and then we're going to go after you. But like, the point is, the issue with, I think, bail has been that it's making it so that people who can't afford to post bail wait in a jail cell, and then people who can't afford to post it can go about their daily business, which turns out most people who are sitting in a jail cell are like poor black people, poor people of color, and most of the people who are, not sitting in a jail cell are wealthy, mostly white people who, tend to get slaps on the wrist anyway when it comes to things like this. So the point of bail reform was to get rid of that, to get rid of this disparity in, up until you get to a trial, are you going to sit in a jail cell or not? So what did this reform do? It's right up here on the screen. It tells you exactly how it works. And this is written by lawyers. This is not like some news article that's trying to scare you intentionally. This is literally an explanation by a law firm, okay? Criminal defense law firm, okay? The reform on the bail eliminated money bail, not all bail, just money bail, okay? And pre-trial detention for almost all misdemeanors and non-violent felonies. Okay, so every single case that that people out there have heard or said, oh, some guy like shot somebody and then got out on bail. Like, no, if he's being charged with a violent felony, if somebody's being charged with homicide, they're not being let go on cash bail. They're not just being let go. That's not happening. Okay, it says right here, in almost all violent felony cases, money bail and pretrial detention are still permitted. The only exceptions to that rule are burglary in the second degree and robbery in the second degree, which don't necessarily, in my non-lawyer experience, are violent, right? They're not necessarily violent. So the point of this was to make sure that people who can't afford to post bail don't sit in a jail cell until they're actually sentenced for a crime they may or may have not committed.
And let's just think.
Trial. I'm sorry, real quick. That's the point of a trial, right? To determine whether or not we are in fact guilty or not of the crime we are being accused of committing. The fact that people have to sit in a jail cell for what could be months and months and months, years even, years. There are people who have sat in jail for years, who have sat at Rikers Island for years waiting for a trial that like never happened. Like that has happened. This Correct. Is what this was supposed to do, and has in fact done very well in preventing people from just sitting in jail after misdemeanors, after non-violent crimes. This isn't about letting angry blacks and people of color out in the streets, violent people out in the streets for the sake of Democrats getting a win. That's not what this is about. Okay, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Donna.
No, but what happened to? You can't, like tyranny. What happened? You can't just go to prison without having a jury of your peers determine if you did something wrong or not. This is making sure that doesn't happen. This is making sure that people just don't sit in jails for months and months at a time before their trial comes up. Now imagine you're the sole bread maker of your family, and someone has that you got arrested for witness intimidation or tampering. You don't know if it's right or not. The police aren't the arbiters of truth. They don't just make a decision, it's 100% you're guilty. Now you can support your family. All of a sudden, you let's say 2 months later, 3 months later, 4 months later, you're out of jail. It ended up the evidence wasn't right. They dropped the charges on you, and now what? You just were imprisoned for 4 months. You couldn't work. You couldn't help your family. This is horrible. This is absolutely horrible, and this is what's here to defend. So anytime we hear this nonsense about bail
It's a
reform
complete dog
letting
whistle.
out
It's a complete
criminals,
dog
this
whistle.
is just fear mongering, and it goes back.
They twist what's reality. They took reality and they twisted it to make it seem like bail reform is all of a sudden putting violent criminals in the street.
Yeah.
Like,
Now pay attention. This
no.
is in line with what is known as cultural Marxism, cultural Bolshevism. It is an anti-Semitic conspiracy theory, right? You hear these talking points all the time, right? If you want, we could do a full episode on it, but we have to be careful. We have to pay attention to their messaging because it's the same across the board. There's a subtext to all of this.
Right. And so that hopefully clears it up with bail reform. Like I said, it's actually very simple. It's not a complicated issue, but because people don't actually, and I get it. People don't want to like spend every minute of their day trying to verify every bit of information they hear, right? Humans just have that habit of are just pattern seekers. They seek patterns. If they have a bias, they tend to just try to reaffirm their biases. That's just human nature, right? But the problem is now we have people who are so deep in these echo chambers that they don't even bother to give a second look or even a 1 minute. You can Google search. It took me 5 minutes to find this link on Google. It's like if you're actually trying to find valid information, you don't need to go to like your favorite biased newspaper or whatever to read it. You just need to find a valid source from an expert opinion. And if you don't want to take the expert's opinion, just look at the law itself. It's public information. Look at the law itself if you want to see what this is about. And I know, I get it. Not everybody has the time or wants to do something like that. But if you're going to be so vocal about an issue, that's the least you can do. If you're going to go out,
but that's what we want to do with this podcast. That's what we want to. This is what we want to do with this podcast. This is what we want to do with these videos. We want to be able to not only talk about what are the issues on the island, not only bring on the activists that we love so much, activists helping activists, and we want to be able to combat this messaging, because there's nothing better than someone informed, knowing how to argue against his points, knowing how to have the research, and hopefully one of the things we're looking to do is to have like a document cheat sheet. I personally have done tons of debates with far-right people online. I've infiltrated many servers, many groups, and I've compiled, literally, I have a document with research and sources against their talking points. It's the only way to do it, and hopefully that's something we can have on Blue Island. So when you're in a position where someone's like, pull up the source, you'll be able to pull it up on your phone. Right? These are the things we're looking to do.
And folks, these topics this fear-mongering is going to keep coming from the right wing. They're going to keep doing it. This isn't going to slow down anytime soon. This is a pipeline for them that creates tons of votes. So we need to be able to keep that in check. We need to be able to hold them accountable, hold the facts up to their face, and tell them you are wrong. Once we can do that, once we do that more effectively, things will start to look a little bit better. That's only one part of the things that we need to do, but it's such an important part.
Can we pull up this comment here that Ali just made real quick, just because that, this is exactly who I was thinking of, quite frankly. I'm seeming to be having an issue putting up the comment here.
No, I see it. We see it.
Can you put it up on the screen?
Yeah, it's on the screen.
I guess I'm having an issue, but
right, Khalid Browder waited 3 years.
Browder. That's exactly, by the way, Ali, who I was thinking of when I said that comment about people who waited in Rikers for years and like for pre-trial and then never actually went to trial. That's exactly who I was thinking of. Khalif Browder. Yeah, Khalif Browder. That's exactly who I was thinking of when I said that comment. That's apparently this was a kid. For those of you who don't know the Khalif Browder story, this is a kid, a minor. He was a minor. He was like 15 or 16.
Horrible.
He was arrested for apparently stealing a backpack. Okay. He apparently stole a backpack, so he was arrested, and then he sat in Rikers Island for 3 years.
Unreal.
This is not an exaggeration, people. This is a 16-year-old kid who literally was arrested for stealing a backpack, waited for his trial that never happened for 3 years, some of it in solitary confinement, months, at a minimum, months of it in solitary confinement, and then after those 3 years, they dropped the charges. He actually never ended up going to trial because they knew they were full of shit when they arrested him in the first place for stealing a backpack. And for 3 years, he sat at Rikers, of all places, was let go, and then he killed himself. Like, if that's not one of the most gross miscarriages of justice you've ever heard, and by the way, this happens all the time with our justice system.
All the time.
I mean, I don't know what to tell you guys. I mean, for those of you who are on the right side of the spectrum, if you're tuning in, if any of you are actually tuning in, I ask you to look deep inside of your hearts and souls, if we even have any, and consider the idea that this was a young man, this was a 16-year-old kid who sat in Rikers Island. It's pretty much a prison. It's one of the worst prisons in the country. And for nothing. And then he killed himself, because I can't even imagine what it must be like sitting in Rikers, and not just in Rikers, but solitary for 3 years at Rikers. Like, not 3 years total, not solitary total, but like, and then, but Democrats do not speak up and support it. I find that very interesting. I find that
it's crazy, because if you look at the political spectrum in America, the two political parties, the Republican Party and the Democratic Party, neither of them are talking about this issue to a big degree. But there's one of them, the Democratic Party, has a group within it that is talking about this issue. So when we talk about electing leaders that understand the responsibility of representing their people, we want people that are talking about these issues, that understand that they need to do something. We don't want to just elect Democrats for the sake of electing Democrats. We want to elect people that will do the work that's necessary to prevent these stories from happening.
100%.
Based on the facts. I don't care. I honestly don't care if you're a Republican, if you're a Democrat, if you're a Libertarian, if you're a working family. I don't care. If you think that what happened to Khalif Browder was a gross miscarriage of justice, if you think that people, and by the way, the bail reform law was partly inspired by his story. So if you don't think that that's an issue worth legislating over, then I really don't know what else to tell you. Like, I don't have any other words for you, because what happened to that kid was just disgusting. I mean, and
then we can take this and open it up to even bigger scope, right? Not only do they attack bail reform, right? We look at how much they attack CRT. Now, what is CRT trying to show us? It's trying to show us that these problems disproportionately affect minorities, people of a darker skin color, for whatever reasons, right? Historical, socioeconomic, individuals' behaviors. But this is exactly what they're trying to stop you from caring about. They're trying to tell you CRT is bad, bail reform is bad. Well, who is this targeting? CRT is trying to uplift people of color. Bail reform is trying to make sure that people of color don't continue the cycle of just prison pipeline. And all of a sudden, we're the ones who don't care about human rights. They're the ones who care about the Constitution. This is just literal rhetoric nonsense that they're talking about. It's absolute horseshit.
It's at the most optimistic, and we can't even be optimistic in terms of an outlook of what it's like. It's just a complete misunderstanding of what these things are, of what the problems are, and that's being optimistic. Quite frankly, a lot of these people just
know exactly
know exactly what they're doing. They're concerned about staying in power, and they don't care who they mobilize. Frankly, I mean, look at what's happening. I came from Florida recently, so I'm staying in touch with what's going on politically in the state of Florida right now. If you don't know, there is a crackdown on LGBT rights in the state of Florida. They are working on passing a legislation. They're working on passing a legislation to ban even talking about LGBT, not LGBT issues, not just talking about LGBT people or anything related to it in schools in Florida. That is a legislation that is being pushed right now by the DeSantis government and the Republican Party of Florida. And that's only the first of a series of legislations that they're looking to pass, if I'm not mistaken, to curtail LGBT rights.
Oh, they passed it already.
In the state
Carla
of
is
Florida.
letting us know they passed it already.
Oh, they did pass it. They did pass it already. Yeah,
Wow.
I'm a little bit out of date. I listened into this story like a week or two ago.
Oh my
So,
god,
yeah.
that's horrific. That's horrific, guys. That is horrific. It is It's let me put my head in the sand like an ostrich and not care about the issues.
This is the kind of stuff that makes us all want to bury our head in the sand and just be done with politics. But the truth is,
We can't do that.
Because then these people will reign supreme over us. Like, like we can't let these people with those sort of values
We have to make sure that people
manipulate
at
and
the table
brainwash
are
people.
adults.
Because
We
that's
have to make sure that the adults sit at the table. We are the adults. We are the people who are willing to look at the home that we live in and say it can be better. It needs to be better, because if it's not going to be better, our children are going to suffer the impacts of it.
And this is why we think it's so important for us to share everybody's stories out here, like Devon's, because like if we can't come together, then like there's power in numbers, right? There's power in people mobilizing and getting together and doing this and doing the work together. And if we just try to do our own thing on the internet, which is important, like mobilizing on the internet has been a big thing, has been a major thing since the internet has even come out. But like in a place like Long Island, where local party politics and like these localized issues reign supreme, a lot of the time showing your face and actually like talking to the local leaders is the only way to get anything done.
100%.
I'll just say this use this line from Independence era America. From the Declaration of Independence, right? What does it say at the top? We the people, in order to form a more perfect union. In order to form a more perfect union, we the people have to speak up. We need to not stick our head in the sand. We need to understand the truth, the points, the talking points of those who seek to curtail our freedoms. And we need to be able to really mobilize in order to form this more perfect union. That's what we're striving for. That's what we're striving for here.
That's exactly what we're trying to do.
And by the way, this is actually another important comment that Ali brought up. I guess I'm having an issue with my thing, but the 2 nurses were released without bail comment, guys. You see that?
Yep.
Yeah, we have it on the screen.
You have that on the screen? Okay, I don't know what's going on with me. But I don't know if you guys heard the story. Did you hear about the story?
I haven't.
Okay, this is good because this is something that just happened. Out here on Long Island, and I'll bring up the story, but out here on Long Island, guys, I don't know, this is like some hot news, but there were 2 nurses
Hot fire.
There were 2 nurses out here on Long Island. I believe that they had a practice in Amityville. It's called Wild Child, like pediatricians or something like that.
Okay.
They were apparently busted. One of the nurses was busted with $900,000 in cash in her home. You know where she got that cash from?
Where?
Selling fake vaccine cards.
Oh my goodness. Are you serious?
So 2 of these nurses, one was a nurse practitioner, I think, or something. I'm going to have to look for the story. But basically, 2 like they were running like fake vaccine scheme out of their office, essentially in Amityville. They even kept it, like they were so stupid that they even actually registered them in like the state vaccine like registry database.
And that's the only. I mean, they're doing good business, right? They're trying to make sure it's legit.
So they've made these. They put it in the system, so they not only know exactly who bought these fake cards, but of course they know the women who administered these fake cards. And by the way, one of these women has a police husband, has an NYPD husband who apparently was suspended a few years ago for flying like a drone, like a NYPD drone copter thing in like a penis shape in the sky. So he was actually suspended for doing some absolutely childish a couple of years ago. And then his wife now gets arrested and busted with almost $1 million in cash, which, of course, I'm sure the husband was in on it, because apparently the cash was found in bags of NYPD duffel bags.
I'm pretty sure his NYPD vaccine and all of his other NYPD friends' vaccines are all fucking fake from the same woman, just cashing in. And they want to talk about pharmaceutical companies cashing in. They don't give a fuck. None of them give a fuck, okay? The fact that at the beginning of the corona, hundreds and tons of legislators bought stock in PPE. Masks don't work, but then again, I buy stock in PPE because I know people are going to buy masks during a pandemic. So, fuck off.
I found the story. Long Island nurses. Oh, I'm gonna actually send it to the screen.
Send it to me. I'll put it on the screen.
That, right? We can do that.
Yeah, of course we can do that. Everything's live, baby.
Quick.
Everything's live.
Everything's live. Cash injection. Head of the story. Now, I'm not a New York Post fan, but you know,
a story's a story, man. A story's a story. Everything on its merits.
NY nurses busted for forging vax. It was a $1.5 million scheme. Excuse me, $1.5 million scheme. Two Long Island healthcare workers, Julie Devwano, she was a nurse practitioner, and Marissa Uraro, for a licensed practical nurse. So they were selling $220 for fake cards for adults, and then $85 for children. So they're actually giving a discount to the kids, like giving a
And they made over 1.5 million. Let's do the math real quick. Whoa.
That's
1.5.
thousands of people.
Let's just do
That's
1.5.
thousands of people.
Oh my goodness. And then we wonder why COVID doesn't go down. Okay. Oh, these
That's
fucking
thousands of people. Wild Child Pediatric Healthcare in Amityville. That was their practice.
Let me look at exactly. Let's see just on average how many people. And let's
Like,
just say it's all adults. Just say it's all adults. So divided by 220, right? That is 6,818 people minimum who got fake vaccine cards from these two people. Minimum. That is a tantamount to death. The amount of people these vaccine cards have killed, these people are liable for fucking murder. They have killed people who needed to be protected the most. People who are elderly, people who have pre-existing conditions, people who we should care about. This is disgusting.
And I just want to remind people the death count for COVID on Long Island right now. That's 3,692 in Nassau County and 4,190 in Suffolk County. Of course, those numbers aren't probably entirely accurate, but those are the numbers we have right now. Isn't that a funny coincidence?
I mean, it's sick. It's thousands of. Sorry, I disconnected, guys. Sorry about that. I don't know what that was all about, but
you might be using the wrong mic, your camera mic. Just double check that, please.
Thank you.
Look at that money. Look at how much money. This is just, and then we also look at the people who are most likely to buy on vaccine cards, people who are distrustful, people who are lower socioeconomic areas who are afraid of that vaccine, who aren't educated. This is just horrific.
And by the way, I wonder how this actually skews the statistics, right? I wonder how this actually, because we're going off of, New York is like over what, like 70, like I'm probably gonna be totally off on this, but over 80%, 70%, 75%.
Let's just look up New York State.
What is New York's supposed vaccination rate right now? Let's just look it up. Pull it up. USA facts.
Around 73.
So 73. Okay, I was around it. So 73%. We're talking 6,000 people at least who have fake records. 6,000 out of, however many people.
Confirmed.
Again, and these were people who were falsely put into the database. Remember that. So these are fake vaccination records that they're counted in that number. These numbers are counted there. That's one.
Oh, real quick, just for Carla, the amount of people we got is, we just divide rough division 1.5 divided by 220. It's like 6,800 people.
And then there was the kids that they were giving discounts for the kids cards.
Oh, discount, discount.
There was a discount. There were $80 for the kids. So who knows how many? There could be more kids than there are adults too. Don't forget that. The 6,000 was like a minimum.
And which county are they in? Where are they from specifically?
Amityville, Suffolk County.
So 6,000. Let's just say 2,000 kids. That is a whole town's worth of people, right? And like, this is one of the things that really bothers me. People go, it's only 850,000 people dead from COVID. That's such a low number. I can fit Rhode Island with 850,000 people. A whole state's worth of people have died in the United States, and you're talking about vaccine,
and then thousands of people
mandates,
and then thousands of people. Let's say on Long Island, because this is a facility, a healthcare facility on Long Island. Let's assume that all these people are from Long Island, right? These thousands of people. Now we have thousands of people who are going around telling people they're vaccinated and then possibly carrying a virus around. And then they have the audacity to go around and tell other people that they're around, I'm vaccinated. Well, they could possibly be carrying
unnamed.
virus.
And anonymously, I know someone who's told me they got a fake vaccine card. I was very much disturbed when I heard this, but I know someone who did this. and not to like say it, but I know that the families also was very sick with COVID. I even think there might have been people who died in their family of COVID, and yet they still get a fake vaccine card. This is
It's
the
insane.
danger that we're fighting. This is why it's important to bring this up, to talk about it, to mobilize people, to have outreach,
To
to
have
talk.
you talk to us, to have you engage with us, to have you send us your stories, to tell us about your situation at home, to tell us, to give us any information you have that you know about how to get involved in your local area. We need you guys to be involved with this as much as we want to be involved and we want to help lead the charge. We need everybody's help too, because that's how this stuff is happening out here.
Exactly.
That's crazy.
And guys,
That's
and
crazy.
this is our motto. And this is our motto. Together forward. Together forward is our motto. This is what we're trying to do. During the live stream, together. When we make rallies, together. On the Blue Island page, on the Blue Island group, on YouTube, Twitter, all of that. It is about us together.
100%.
And guys, this is where we're gonna end up wrapping the show up. We have went over the extended time what we wanted to do because of the engagement, and we love it. And this is what we're looking for. So
I think from now on, I think we're gonna try to keep the show shorter, just because from how we know media works and from what we've been seeing, I think most people tend to like start snoozing, wanting to like get
30
on
minutes.
do other things.
Maybe
30
about
minutes
like
on. So I
30
think
to 45-ish.
So I think we'll try to keep our show shorter to just help people, not take up too much of everybody's time. Again,
And tell us what you think.
but
Tell us what you
this
think.
but tell us, talk to us. Exactly. Tell us what you think. Tell us if you want more, if you want less. I think we went into this show today kind of trying to keep it within 30 minutes, just so
And
we
we're
don't
at 60 minutes already.
But we're already at 60
We're at
minutes.
60.
because We got off track. We started talking, wanted to answer
No,
the
this
question
this
on
is
bail
it though.
reform.
This is it though. These are the topics that need to be discussed. These are
100%.
the points that we need to get across. I think you two did a fantastic job at the end there. The vaccination, and as Ali said, I do kind of agree with the idea of getting a pro-science rally going. I think
Like
that'd be
that.
cool.
I do like that.
We should talk about that. And
Benjamin says more bros, more. I don't know what that means. What do you mean? But
more time,
again,
maybe.
maybe more time. You want 3 hours? We can do 3 hours. Like you want to do a
More
marathon?
time?
20. You know what we can do? I'll be down to do it if people are willing to do it. If people are willing to do it, I will be willing to do a 24-hour live stream for charity, as long as we get money in with a goal of like
if you guys
$40,000.
Well,
I think you know what?
We'll play video games. We'll do everything.
I'd be so down for a charity live stream. Like I'd be so down for that. If we get, more people, more involvement, I would be so down for charity live streams. And then
Alibaba
let's
says she
keep
likes the
growing.
1 hour
we can make a
timeline.
commitment right now. Any charity live streams that we do going forward, the charities funded need to be local charities out here on Long Island.
Amen.
Absolutely.
That's
we'll
it.
keep we'll keep growing. We'll keep spreading our word. And trying to get more people getting involved in the show, bringing more guests on. We loved having Devon Tony in here. We'd love to have him back, or anyone else coming in. We're going to keep talking about the truth. We're going to keep telling you about all the nonsense happening.
And
in
if we
Republican
say
Party.
guys, if we say something that's wrong, if we say something that's wrong, you think is not true, that's infactual, let us know right away. And if you disagree with us, I am open to you. I will send you a link to our web-based studio to come and talk with us. If you we are open. We do not shy away from discussion. We do not shy away from arguments. This is something that we love to do, and we believe in our ideas. We believe that we can defend them as well. So if you want to come on, you want to talk to us, you want to challenge us, I welcome it every single time.
This is also I don't know if this is a good idea, but this is also a public challenge to any organizations out on Long Island who disagree with us, who think that we're wrong about how we need to approach, politics on Long Island. And, we've had conversations with some of these organizations already. We've asked to do live conversations, to do live debates, to do live interviews. You guys know who you are out there if you're watching this. This is a public invitation right now to reach out to us and tell us if you want to debate, if you want to have a conversation about whatever it is, critical race theory, about why Lee Zeldin is going to be the best governor since sliced bread, about why whatever.
Governor. You guys remember sliced bread as governor? A lot of ham and cheese out there.
We want you here in the studio to do this conversation. We are
100%.
challenging
We just-
anybody who disagrees to come here
Or just have a
and
discussion.
show
Or
us.
just have a discussion.
or
On
have
your
a
terms,
conversation.
How you want to
With
do it. How you want to do it.
how you want to do it. Just come talk to us and explain to us why we're wrong. This is a public invitation and a challenge to anybody out there right now.
I love the
We'll try.
I love the energy. Let's definitely say conversation as well, especially just
Correct.
push that through. Let's not go full debate bro here.
Debate, bro.
Oh my god.
But
That's an inside joke,
but no,
guys.
I absolutely love to have a conversation about anything. CRT history is something we all love to talk about. You know, politics as well. Obviously, Nick and I studied political science in college.
You want
Donna
to talk
has
about
been very-
philosophy? You want to? I'll
Yeah.
talk to you philosophy for 7 hours straight. I promise you, I'll do it. You'll get tired of it. I'll do it 8 hours, 9 hours.
Yep.
I don't care.
philosophy degree right there.
Giuliani.
Giuliani.
I love that. That's
boy.
my favorite one of my favorite nicknames.
Okay, so guys, we're gonna wrap it up for tonight. Thank you so much for everyone who showed up. Share it, like, subscribe, all of the the internet nonsense. We thank you so much, and
Reach out.
and you guys together
Talk
forward.
to us. Keep talking to us.
Have a great night, everyone.
Good night, everyone.